Click on the subscribe button, especially the bell on the right side. Otherwise, you will miss the latest videos. Click on the subscribe button, especially the bell on the right side. Otherwise, you will miss the latest videos.
So, thank you so much, and over to you.
Namaste, Madhuraji. It's so wonderful to be here. It's so wonderful to be doing this webinar again today, How to Improve Our Planetary Karma with Moon. Very exciting. We have gone through this series. You and I were just discussing, it's been about 1.5 years that we've been working on this series together. And we went through every graha, we went through every planet, and we discussed the nature of the karma of the planet. Then we will discuss the different way the karma will act, dependent on sign, dependent on house, sometimes using nakshatra. And then we discuss how to improve that karma. We do ancient remedy, Ayurvedic remedy, lifestyle remedy, and we've gone through any planet. So if anyone out there is ever thinking to themselves, I have trouble with this planet, you can listen to one of these webinars where you will find what the energy is, how it will affect you uniquely, and then how to work with that energy. And so I hope this series has been helpful. I am going to try to take all of this planetary karma info and create a book about it, probably during my Mercury Mahadasha. So this has been the greatest research also for the book I'm going to be writing. And it's just been a really, really spiritual, educational, and mystical time and to do these series. And so I feel bittersweet in this moment. I feel sweet in that the moon and the devotion and the love, but I feel a little bit more sad, little bit more sad about the fact that this is the last planetary karma webinar, but not too sad knowing that we're going to do 27 webinar on the various nakshatra.
Yes, it is going to be fun. And sometimes we used to get some nakshatra questions in these webinars, and unfortunately we could not answer it. So guys, for those questions, you can ask those questions in the 27 webinars coming like in near future. So yes, we are very excited, and let's continue with this, how to improve our planetary karma with moon. Over to you, Kṣaṇāti.
Before I get started, I just want to make sure that we have both started recording. Okay, fantastic. So I'm just going to share my screen now. So can you see my screen, Madhuraji?
Yes.
Okay, great. Today, I and Saptarishis Astrology will present how to improve our planetary karma with moon, Chandra, the luminous one, the illuminated one. And when I say how are we going to improve our planetary karma with moon, we're going to unlock unconditional love within our hearts. This is such a heartfelt, cathartic webinar because of the heart energy of moon. So we are going to unlock unconditional love. We are going to support our full potential in terms of sympathy, empathy, and compassion. So our evolution as souls with sympathy, empathy, and compassion, and also our evolution in our devotional nature and our ability to show support and care to our loved ones. So with all of this planetary karma with moon vibration, you can really feel the heart-centered vibration of it all. I'm Kṣaṇāti. My website is jyotishastrology.org, email, Facebook here, and I've actually started my own YouTube channel. I'll be doing some live readings, live videos, bringing on different guests and things like that. And it's just getting started. But I really appreciate everyone who will join me on my YouTube channel, Kṣaṇāti Jyotish on YouTube. And this is the direct link here if you'd like to become a subscriber to my YouTube channel. It is much appreciated. And this is all my contact information if you need any private support in your life. I do professional birth chart readings, divisional chart readings, astrocartography readings, past lifetime regression chart readings. So whatever, if you need any professional support in that area, please don't hesitate to reach out. Again, just encouraging all of you to join my YouTube, Kṣaṇāti Jyotish YouTube. Now, I broke our webinar today into 6 different sections or 6 different parts. Those that have been with us through the various other planetary karma videos know how this very analytical and scientific way of going about this analysis. And so first we will do the Chandra or the Soma karma, the karmic nature of the moon. Then we will do the current position of the moon. And the moon moves very quickly, so I'll also talk about the next couple positions of the moon. And then we're going to do Chandra karma as association with planetary dignity. So this is based on the sign and position of the moon, whether that is favorable and what are the significations associated there. And then we're going to go ancient, Ayurvedic, and contemporary remedy to improve our planetary karma with Chandra. And then we're going to do community examples. We're going to go with 3 community examples that were sent in to me before this webinar, and also Yogananda, Shri Yogananda ji as a celebrity example that was voted on by everyone. And his moon is so beautiful. And then we'll do some conclusionary remarks. Opening up this webinar, I want to honor the moon. The moon is the emblem of devotion. And when we can express the devotion to the moon, it unlocks bliss, it unlocks ecstasy, it unlocks euphoria, and it unlocks contentment in our hearts. So let's all take a moment here and we will honor the moon through the traditional moon chant. We have the Devanagari, Sanskrit, and English here. Read it in whichever way is most comfortable for you. Dari Sankatu Sharabam Kashiro Dharna Sambhavam Namami Sasenam Somam Sampurmakuta Bhushanam Dari Sankatu Sharabam Kashiro Dharna Sambhavam Namami Sasenam Somam Sampurmakuta Bhushanam Dari Sankatu Sharabam Kashiro Dharna Sambhavam Namami Sasinam Somam Sampurmakuta Bhushanam Dari Sankatu Sharabam Kashiro Dharna Sambhavam Namami Sasinam Somam Sampurmakuta Bhushanam. Om Shram Shrim Shrom Saha Somaya Namaha. 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 Om Aim Klim Somaya Namaha. Hari Om Namah Shivaya. Moon. Moon is called Chandra in Sanskrit, that which is luminous, that which is illuminated, that which possesses light, that which reflects light. The luminous Chandraya is that which contains and reflects light. So the light that you are seeing on the moon is actually not light which the moon emanates, but is the light which is the reflection of the sun. So it's the reflective light when you are looking at the moon. So it has this reflective light, but that light also gives energy to the moon, and therefore the moon also possesses light. So this aspect of Chandraya, it's the possession of light, but it's also the reflection of light. And so when we're looking in the metaphysical sense, light is called Jyoti, that which contains light. And light is divine. Light is God. Light is the Atman. Light is the Paramatman. So when we are looking at what light is in the most spiritual sense, it is the essence of the divine. It is the essence of divinity. Therefore, the moon reflects the divine light. So the moon is a reflection of this divine light. So when you get into the very specific karma, it is an embodiment and a reflection of divine light. That is the moon, is the representation of divine light. Deep within this concept of illumination is the ability to reflect light. And therefore, moon karma relates to the evolution in our ability to reflect divine light. And what does that mean for us? It means the ability to be a vessel of a light, to be a vessel of the divine, to be a vessel of spiritual wisdom. This is to be a conductor of the light. For example, when we have spiritual wisdom, it's not like we own that wisdom. That wisdom is truth, which comes from God. We are just reflecting that light. We are just reflecting that truth. We are just reflecting that wisdom. So this is the energy of moon, which reflects the light, which reflects the divine, which reflects the divine wisdom. Embedded within the moon mythology and this concept of reflection is the karmic lesson and ability to reflect before we act. If you go back to the ancient mythology, the moon slept with Tara, the wife of Jupiter. And this is because the moon acts on its emotion. The moon acts on its desire. And this is an unevolved moon. An unevolved moon acts purely on its emotion. An unevolved moon acts purely on its desire, which means there's no ability to reflect before action. Because if the moon was able to properly reflect before it took the lustful action, then it would have saw that the outcome of that would have hurt Jupiter. Nonetheless, the moon was not able to reflect in that sense. So the evolutionary energy of the moon is the ability to reflect before we act, is the ability to think before we act. Those people with unevolved moons, with dark moons, with challenging moon karma have a really hard time thinking and reflecting before they act. But people with very evolved moons, people with very mature moons are very reflective and very thoughtful, and they think very heavily about the outcome before they were to take any action, because they know that if they do an action without reflection, it could cause some type of pain. It could cause some type of suffering. So, this deeply evolved moon karma shows that before any action is taken, we ensure that the karmic consequence or the karmic outcome of those actions are positive. Moon is also the emblem of devotion and is a representation of devotion. Moon karma shows which area and aim of life we are most devoted to, and the power and strengths of our devotion, as well as the weaknesses or challenges that are associated with our devotion. For example, someone who has moon in the 7th house is very devoted to their partner, especially if it's in good dignity. If someone has moon in the 4th house, they are very devoted to their family. If someone has moon in the 2nd house, they're very devoted to their job. If someone has moon in the 10th house, they're very devoted to their dharma, to their job, to their work. So it does show where you carry that devotion. And based on the dignity, you can see what are the strengths of that devotional aspect and what are the challenges of that devotional aspect. You know, we'll talk more about this, but devotion isn't always a good thing. It depends what direction we put devotion. Now, moon karma, when it's in very high dignity and position, a more evolved moon shows great devotional nature, someone who is very devotional in their nature and has strong power of devotion, which means whatever they give devotional energy to ends up being extremely fruitful and successful. This is very common when moon is in Rohini Nakshatra. And there's also an elevation in terms of what the native is devoted to. So when someone has a very evolved moon, they're only devoted to sattvic thing. Moon karma in challenging dignity and position suggests a stifled power of devotion, which means they might not have that much enthusiasm. They might not have that much passion. They might not have that much power of devotion. And they can easily be distracted or tempted to unelevated emotional devotional aspects. So this means that those with challenging and moon karma, they can be devoted to unhealthy ways of thinking. They can be devoted towards being a victim depression. They can be devoted towards unhealthy relationship. They could be devoted towards a drug or alcohol addiction. They could be devoted to money. So there is this aspect too where, okay, not always is what we're devoted to good, and the moon in its challenging position can show that we're devoted towards lust, that we're devoted towards desire. Now, when moon bala is strong, it always indicates a profound devotional nature and power of the individual. So as long as the moon is strong in the chart, it suggests that the person will have a lot of power of devotion, which means whatever they give their time and energy to will bear fruit, will bear outcome, will bear results. But the lower, malefic, dark side of the moon, as mentioned, can offer desire and devotion towards lust, indulgence, addiction, and unhealthy patterns or ways of thinking. Now, when moon bala is strong, and it's a very benefic moon, which means good position, good dignity, and there's no negative aspects, it encourages good power of devotion, and what the native is devoted to is going to be sattvic, is going to be spiritual. This includes family, spirituality, service, the welfare of humanity, the welfare of animals, and the welfare of the planet. This is the higher side of the devotion. Moon karma is also called Somaya in Sanskrit, which means blissful. The divine name of Soma reflects the nectar of bliss which pours from the moon. One of the most divine experiences I have was when I was in a deep meditation and I started doing the moon chant, and it was on a full moon, and I saw the moon was close, and as I doing the chant, it kept feel like the moon was coming closer. It kept feel like the moon was getting closer. And as I really started to connect with the moon, I could feel the drops of the soma falling off of the moon onto me. And when those drops of soma would pour onto me, I would experience ecstasy. I would experience bliss. I would experience total euphoria, pleasure through all of my senses. And this is connected to the divine bliss, which literally pours out from the moon, the somaya, the soma. It is said that the blissful nectar of ecstasy, called soma, drips off of the moon. And these drippings of soma, which come off of the moon, are strongest during a full moon transit. So the soma vibration is very strong during a full moon. And when these drips are falling down, it provides bliss, peace, ecstasy, and harmony to all. usually people who have difficulties around the full moon, they have a hard time digesting or integrating. They have a hard time digesting or integrating the soma. Therefore, they can't really process it well. But in general, the full moon nectar, it provides bliss. This soma karma comes out of the moon. To those who can properly assimilate this nectar, are given intelligence during this period, are given health during this period, are given overall well-being and sensory bliss as ecstasy. The soma has the power to heal any disease. The soma has the power to remove any sadness. The soma has the power to make someone who is tamasic immediately sattvic. So the soma has this transformative blissful vibration, and the moon also has that influence. It is the karma of the moon that if we properly reflect, meditate, and honor the moon. So that is what I mean by able to digest the soma. If you do not honor the moon properly, then you are not allowed to digest its nectar. The only way that you are allowed to digest the divine nectar of the moon is if you honor and appreciate that, and therefore honor the moon. So to assimilate the soma, we need to be very reflective. We need to think before we act. We need to meditate, and we need to honor the moon in every way that we can. And if we do this, we get the juice of the soma. We get the nectar of the soma if we honor the moon properly. And therefore, we can experience ecstasy, bliss, euphoria, total rejuvenation from exhausting, wasting, or toxicity. It can heal any disease. It can remove any sadness. It can remove any depression. All we have to do is honor the moon properly to help activate this karma. That's why I tell the story of how I did that, because until I was noticing the soma and then praying directly to it, I didn't and then after I started doing it, that's when I felt the bliss. So it's when you have this awareness and then you create that devotional relationship, it really starts to digest the soma. Moon represents the divine mother, or feminine aspect of the divine. It is the moon karma which helps us connect with and express our devotion to the divine mother. So it has this relationship with our relationship with the feminine aspect of God. Our moon karma is our relationship with the divine mother. Strong moon position and dignity, such as 9th house in Cancer, for example, can suggest an affinity towards a female guru and the female aspects of the divine. So I have moon in the 9th house in Libra. So this suggests why my guru is Amma, female guru. So these are some of the suggestions here that it does kind of emphasize more feminine aspect of the divine versus masculine aspect of the divine if the moon is strong enough. Now, moon karma also represents the natives' karma with their mother. This is the person who raised them. Their biological mother, but if you're adopted, your adopted mother. It's whoever raised you. And so good moon dignity and position suggest a deep karmic connection with the native's mother. So strong moon vibration, positive moon vibration can show good relationship, good connection with the mother, but similarly, difficult moon vibrations can show difficult relationship with the mother. But if the moon vibration is functionally benefic, it can suggest an enjoyable relationship with the mother, and the mother should carry some nurturing energy towards you. It is moon karma which helps what seeks us to exchange support, care, and love with the woman which helped raise us. It is the moon karma which helps us exchange this support, care, and love. So the moon karma is our ability for us to be close with our mother. It's the ability for us to show support and care and love to our mother, but it also is the opposite of that, which means it's also the mother's ability to show you love. It's the mother's ability to show you support. It's the mother's ability to show you care. Sometimes those people with challenged moons don't get the type of love that is, they don't get unconditional love from their mother. if the moon is very challenged. Of course, a mother loves all mothers love their children unconditionally, but they will struggle with the conditions. The moon is also an embodiment of unconditional love. It's not an embodiment of romantic love like Venus is. It's an embodiment of unconditional love. We call this divine love. And therefore, moon karma supports the gifts of sympathy, empathy, and compassion. So whenever there's moon karma, it's our evolution with sympathy, empathy, and compassion. And moon rules the connection between the heart and the mind. And that could be the longest distance in the world, I often say. The longest road to travel is from the heart to the mind. This is why the manas can be such a crazy place. And so because the moon rules this connection, it is part of the moon karma evolution to evolve with unconditional love, to evolve with sympathy, empathy, and compassion. So the moon karma evolution is our growth in unconditional love. And unconditional love grows through our potential or capacity for sympathy, empathy, and compassion. So that's a really important moon aspect. Moon karma also supports the evolution of the native's empathic intuition. I always say in Jyotish that there are many different types of intuition. And empathic intuition is a very specific form of intuition which is connected to the heart, mind, and emotions. So it's a very specific type of intuition which is associated with the moon. And it kind of suggests that for better or for worse, people with strong moon karma, they're going to feel what other people feel. Because of the way they have this sympathy, empathy, and compassion, they can't help but to feel what other people feel. So dependent on position and dignity and whether the moon is benefic or malefic, it suggests the full spectrum of the empathic abilities and gifts. People who have very difficult moons, people who have very afflicted moons, have a challenging empathic gift, which means they always pick up on other people's sadness. They always pick up on other people's negativity. They always pick up on other people's bad feeling and emotion. And when the moon is very dark, Rahu or some other aspect, it can show that it is very hard to let that negative influence that other people have on you go. So if someone else is sad, you go and spend 15 minutes with them, and still for 4 hours later after that, you feel sad because it is hard to shake those energies off. Now, moon is also our ability to show nurturing, support, and care to our family. It's directly in the ancient text suggests this is one of the primary karmas of the moon, is to show nurturing, care, and support to your family. So moon karma directly influences our general relationship with our family, which means how we get along with all our family members. And the moon karma also suggests how we relate to the concept of family, what we think a family is, and what we want our family structure or our family picture to be. Now, moon karma has direct influence on the exchange of support, care, and love between the native and his family picture as a whole, especially the mother. So it's an exchange of support, care, and love with the family. So people with certain challenging moons, they can give support, care, and love to their family, but their family doesn't give it back to them. They might show supportive and caring nature to someone else, and other people might take advantage of that. Moon karma also influences the amount of love, care, and support that the native receives from his family in general and mother. So challenged moons, you might not get the love and support you need from your family. Benefic moons, it should be an indication that you get a lot of support from your family. Moon is also our ability to show nurturing, support, and care to all that we love. Not everyone that we love is biological blood. Sometimes we have spiritual brothers, we have spiritual sisters, we have best friends, we have colleagues that we deeply respect and have admiration for. And we still have these strong vibrations and feelings towards these people. And so the moon is also our ability to show support, care, and love to those people. So support, care, and love for all of your friends. Support, care, and love for all of your family. Support, care, and love. It's that nurturing energy which goes to anyone that you truly have love for. And so moon karma activates our unconditional love evolution. And therefore, moon is also the native's ability to show support, care, and nurturing energy to anyone they have love for, okay? This can include close friends, as mentioned, different categories, mentors, students, colleagues, even like-minded individuals, just people who think like you, and those on a similar spiritual path. Moon karma also strongly activates our relationship with the concept of home. Moon is the representation of the homeland and home. We're going to talk about this. And therefore, it includes the physical home we live in, the current city that we're living in, as well as the homeland, the country and city and state which we were born in. So this is all relates to moon karma. Moon karma encourages our evolution to the concept of home, which includes what city, state, and country we were born in, and also what city, state, and country we're currently living in. So moon karma, it shows both of these relationships, our love of our country of birth and the love of our country we currently live in. Now, dependent on moon position, dignity, and malefic benefic function, there will be a blissful relationship to the homeland and current city, or a challenging relationship to the home or current city. So those people with heavily afflicted moons, they can be separated from their homeland or not really like the city, country they were born into. Or they might not really like the city that they're currently living in, or that they might have a challenging relationship with some of the people either in their homeland or in the current city. So, but if the moon is very strong, these people love their homeland. They are so patriotic. Yogananda, we're going to talk about it later. He had moon in Lagna, so he was very devotion to his homeland. And there is this strong vibration of an affinity towards one's homeland or patriotism. You know, I have moon in the 9th house, so I love Philadelphia. I love my city that I was born in. So very similarly, those with strong moon karma, they have a specific affinity for their city, state, and country that they live in and that they are born in. Even when I go to New Mexico, I still think of it as my home and I make the most of it. I try to make the best of it. Now, moon karma, in addition to the home, also encourages our full relationship and evolution of our relationship with our physical shelter, land, and property. So this is the physical home, the physical structure, and the land and property that surrounds that physical structure. Dependent on moon position, dignity, benefic, malefic, there will either be a blissful, a soma relationship to the physical homeland and property, but if the moon is very afflicted, there can be a challenging relationship to the homeland and property. Often, sometimes people with heavily afflicted moons, they have hard time buying home. More likely for them to rent home and be changing homes throughout their life. So that was just some of the different vibrations of moon karma, and we talked about 7 or 8 different aspects there at least, and the moon just has this very heart-centered vibration, this devotional vibration. You know, the house of the home is the house of the heart. It's the house of the mother. So all of these things are so deeply interconnected. I chose this time for moon webinar because currently the moon is in the sign of Cancer. I know this says January 15th. It's supposed to say June 15th. So this was yesterday that the moon went into Cancer, and it will transition tomorrow into Leo. Okay, so right now you have the moon in its natural sign of Cancer, and tomorrow it will transfer to the sun-ruled sign of Leo. Then Mercury will enter Virgo on June 20th. So it looks like to be about from Sunday night until Wednesday, you'll have the morning, you'll have the moon in Leo. Then it will shift into Virgo on June 20th. Then it will shift into Libra on June 22nd. And on June 24th, the moon will shift into Scorpio, which is its sign of debilitation. So even though right now in our current webinar, the moon is in its natural sign, very high dignity of Cancer, but in less than 2 weeks from now, the moon will be in its debilitation sign, which shows you the main point of this transit discussion is just to show you how quickly the moon changes. And so when you're looking at moon energies for new moon, that carries significance. For full moon, that carries significance. But there's such a transition in moon energies at all times. So as soon as you hear and try to integrate what you learn about given moon energy, well, then you have to start preparing for the next one. So the moon keeps us constantly changing and evolving. Now, we're going to look at moon very specific to dignity and position. So first we look at the moon exaltation, mula trikona, and natural sign. Moon is exalted in the Venus-ruled sign of Taurus in 0 to 3rd degrees, the strongest degree being 3. Moon within Venus, Taurus, the rest of the degrees, 4 to 30, is mula trikona, partial exaltation of the moon. And then moon within its natural sign, its current position, Cancer, in any degree, is considered the natural sign of the moon. When we're looking at moon exaltation in Taurus, it's unique because Taurus is ruled by Shukra. And Shukra and moon, while it's not the most malefic relationship, the moon doesn't really have any enemies. That's the thing about the moon. The moon doesn't really have any enemies, but other planets don't like the moon. So the moon doesn't have a problem with Venus, but Venus has a problem with the moon, and the Venus considers the moon enemy. So it's very unique, again, that the moon is exalted here in an enemy sign. The moon doesn't have any enemies, but because Venus finds moon to be enemy, it's this exaltation unique. When Chandra is in Taurus, it creates great emotional depth. It makes someone who is very emotionally deep. It creates a very strong devotional nature, a creativity, and an ability to reflect and think before taking actions. These people have a great propensity to heavily reflect before any actions are taken. Moon in Taurus carries great devotional energy, growth and enthusiasm in whichever area of life it influences. So wherever someone has this exalted moon, they will be very devoted. They will grow and they will be enthusiastic. So you have exalted moon in the 10th house, it will give great energy towards your career. It will allow you to continue to grow in your career and to reach high positions within your career. And it will have you always enthusiastic for that work. Moon in Taurus has a great intuitive potential, specifically the empathic intuition, the emotional intuition we talked about earlier. Now, just a little taste of our Nakshatra series. For the moon exaltation, natural sign, and debilitation, I decided to throw in some Nakshatras. And so when the moon is in Kritika Nakshatra, sun-ruled Nakshatra, it supports great power, ambition, and creativity. The moon in Rohini, its own Nakshatra, supports growth, position, and fulfillment of dreams, desire, and passions. And moon in Mrigashira Nakshatra, very spiritual Nakshatra, supports spirituality, wisdom, and elevation towards moksha. These people can be very spiritually and religiously inclined. Now, the moon in its natural sign of Cancer is extremely powerful for moon. In many ways, it's even more powerful than Taurus. Taurus is a very refined moon energy, but Cancer moon can even be more powerful in overall strength. And so it does support the full expression of the moon's natural energies. Therefore, the Chandra in Cancer supports unconditional love. It supports sympathy. It supports empathy. It supports compassion. It encourages a very caring, nurturing, and supportive nature. The moon in Cancer, very loving, sympathetic, empathetic, caring, and supportive individual. Just have a question here. Oh, namaste, Dineshji. Welcome. Welcome. Thank you for joining us, brother. Chandra in Cancer supports a very empathic and intuitive gift. Although this empathic or intuitive gift, when Chandra is in Cancer, can be difficult to handle or overbearing. Because, like how we talked about earlier, for better or for worse, sometimes the moon feels what other people feel. And when the moon is in Cancer, it's very strong that you pick up on other people's positive vibrations, but also that you will pick up on other people's negative vibrations. And they might affect you in a way which is undesirable. Moon in Purnarvasu Nakshatra supports great spiritual wisdom, intelligence, and consistent success. Lots of repeating success. Very successful alignment. Chandra in Pusha supports someone who is very peaceful, very quiet, very peace-loving. They might be a pacifist, spiritual nature to the individual. But Saturn influences Pusha Nakshatra. So there can be some emotional distress and adversity, forms of PTSD, stress disorder. And Chandra in Ashlesha Nakshatra supports intelligence, expression, and communication. But due to Mercury's influence, can create an overstimulation of mental energies and can cause some emotional ungroundedness. Now we'll discuss moon debilitation. When we're looking at moon debilitation, it's unique. You know, the moon doesn't have any enemies. So even though the moon and Mars definitely don't get along, the moon and Mars do not really have any enemies. And so, the moon does not really have any enemies. So it's not like the moon considers Mars its enemy. But because they have such a difficult karmic way of interacting, this is considered an inauspicious relationship between moon and Mars. Moon in Scorpio creates intense curiosity. These people have the syndrome known as Curious George or Curious Georgette. And this is an intuition and an investigative nature. These people are detectives. These people are researchers. And it supports a great transformative personality, a great transformative energy. Challenging vibrations of moon in Scorpio include a dark intuition. This could cause a pessimistic or cynical nature. They would say, oh, I'm just being real, but it's a little pessimistic way of looking at things. And it can cause extreme emotional volatility and can support a vulnerability to emotional outbursts and temper tantrums. So these people are very emotional, hypersensitive sometimes. The moon in Vishaka Nakshatra supports creativity. By the way, I have moon in Vishaka Nakshatra. Luckily, it's on the Libra side, the Venus side, and not the Mars side. Now, moon in Vishaka Nakshatra supports creativity, beauty, and an ability to fulfill one's desires. So it makes it someone who, when they desire something emotionally, they're usually able to get what they want and reach their goals. But it can cause a lustful nature. So these people might have problems with infidelity. Moon in Anuradha Nakshatra supports powerful, emotional, deep karmic relationships, but can show emotional immaturity, things like jealousy. And the moon in Jyeshta Nakshatra supports growth, power, and great profits and gains in your life. But usually those with the moon in Jyeshta Nakshatra are not very social and prefer a more quiet, isolated life. They definitely prefer to work alone. Now we'll just go through moon and some of the other general planetary dignities. Now, there's really no, even though there's enemy sign and all these things, the moon doesn't have any enemy. So it's not like the moon does horrible anywhere. The moon isn't even that bad in Scorpio. Yeah, it will act debilitated at times because of the emotional volatility of the individual, but there's still many gifts that are going to come with that. The moon, because it doesn't have enemies, planetary dignity is not quite the same. Now, moon has auspicious dignity and karma in the sun-ruled sign of Leo. This is a very favorable conjunction for the moon. We'll see later that this is Yogananda Ji's Lagna, moon Leo Lagna. And this can be attributed to an auspicious relationship between the sun and the moon, the two celestial bodies which work very well together as long as they're not within 10 degrees of each other. Now, the moon and the royal queen and the royal king have a favorable and very friendly relationship. I say that often the king can represent the vision of truth, and the moon, which is the queen, offers the emotional support, the reflection of the message, the mirror, the care, the devotion, and the nurturing to that vision, which allows that vision to grow and manifest. So it is the king or the sun which might have the vision, but is the moon which nurtures that vision so that it may manifest. When the moon aligns to Leo, it creates a powerful vibration of charisma and leadership, like Yogananda Ji. These people are fun to look at, they're fun to watch them talk, and they're very, very, very much draw your attention. And with the moon, when they talk, it make you want to cry. It make you want to cry with the moon in Leo. These people touch your heart. The moon in Leo supports love of the homeland, patriot. It supports a devotional nature, makes someone emotionally deep, and who can reach the hearts of many. The challenging side of moon in Leo is that the moon is feminine and Leo masculine. So this can be a difficult combination of both male and feminine energies interacting with each other, which if you're spiritual, you can balance that out. But if you're not spiritual, that can be challenging. A woman with this conjunction might have some more masculine energy than and masculine quality. And a man with this energy might have feminine energy and feminine quality. As mentioned, Yogananda Ji, a man, but with many feminine qualities, and very beautiful and long flowing hair like woman. Moon has auspicious / mixed karma in the Jupiter-ruled signs of Sagittarius and Pisces. I like when the moon is in Jupiter's sign. This can sometimes be a mixed relationship because of the history of Moon and Jupiter. If you go back to the mythology, it will explain this. Moon, the royal queen, and the guru, Jupiter, have a mixed and dramatic relationship from the mythology. The moon slept with Jupiter's wife because of lust, and then Jupiter forgave the moon later because the Jupiter is very spiritual and forgiving. But ultimately, there is this history of the moon and Jupiter that although the moon does favorable in Jupiter sign, that there's always side effect because of that history. When the moon aligns to Sagittarius, it creates a powerful vibration of moral and ethical devotion. These people are very moral and ethical and are very devoted to moral and ethical, and they want the world to be a moral and ethical place. These individuals are very caring, nurturing, supportive, and devoted to the righteous cause. In some aspects, these individuals, we call them spiritual warriors who fight for the rights and needs of others. The challenge of this combination is that sometimes when Moon is in Sagittarius, the native can be self-righteous, stubborn, and combative. In other words, they know what is right, they know what is moral and ethical, and there's no conversation. They are right and you are wrong. Now, when Moon aligns to Pisces, it supports profound spiritual, intuitive, and creative vibrations. These individuals are intuitive empaths. So when the Moon is in Pisces, it combines two forms of intuition. Moon is empathic intuition, Pisces is psychic, or spiritual intuition. So these people don't just have empathic intuition, but also psychic intuition, which is from the higher realms, from the space, from the Akash, from the Devas. This is from the higher self sending down this wisdom. So these individuals are intuitive empaths who pick up on the other frequencies, vibrations of people, places, and things very easily. As soon as they walk into the room, they pick up the vibration of the room and all of the people in it. This alignment causes a certain affinity or enthusiasm towards the esoteric, towards the spiritual, towards the mystical. So these people are very mystical and spiritual as well. The challenging side of Moon in Pisces, it can make someone very ungrounded and severely out of touch with you could say, the regular world or the material world or the day-to-day mundane world. They can be so off in their own world, they can kind of be living in their own bubble. And it can also cause someone who is like ADD, lack of concentration / easily distracted. And also, Moon in Pisces can be impulsive. They can struggle with things like addiction. The Moon has mixed karma in the Mercury-ruled signs of Gemini and Virgo. This is because the Moon and Mercury actually have a friendly relationship. But because they both influence mind, Moon is left side of brain, Mercury right side of brain, this type of over-influence on the mind definitely has some side effects. Now, Moon, the royal queen, and the messenger Mercury have sometimes a mixed and confusing relationship. This is due to the intellectual energies of Mercury combined with the emotional energies of the Moon. Sometimes logic and emotion are hard to reconcile. Both Moon and Mercury influence the mind, but operate on different sides of the brain. In the most ideal conjunction of these energies, we have a synergy in which Moon and Mercury are working together, which means the left side of the brain and the right side of brain are working together. There's an empathic and there's a logical. You don't do something logical without the intuition agreeing, and you don't do something with the intuitive without the logic agreeing. This is the ultimate evolution. Now, when the Moon aligns to Gemini, it supports strong intellectual capacity, very intelligent, and communication abilities. This conjunction supports creativity, a perpetual student, someone who always loves to learn, and a native who has an incredible amount of diversity in their life in terms of hobbies, talents, and interests. The challenging side of this alignment includes overthinking, mental / logical conflicts, and has the potential, again, to be easily distracted by one's own desires. Madhuraji, remind me what sign your Moon is in?
It is in Cancer.
It is in Cancer. Beautiful. We talked about that. Very natural,
Yes.
very natural sign.
Yes.
That's wonderful. So you have the strong sympathy, empathy, and compassion nature. What house is that?
In 10th house.
Oh, wow. Very good for your career. Very good for your career. Wow.
Yeah.
You'd be a good counselor.
Yeah, I think so.
You'd be a good counselor, advisor, life coach, all of these things. Very good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, when the Moon aligns to Virgo, it supports a strong service orientation to the individual because Moon is devotion, Virgo's service. And so there's this energy of improvement through service. The native with this conjunction, again, very intelligent and are constantly trying to use that intelligence to improve things, to make things better. So they are constantly trying to do this, do that, make this better, make that better. These natives are able to put incredible amounts of devotional energy towards intellectual and academic pursuits and can often become very, very knowledgeable about one area. They can become the most knowledgeable in the world. The dark side of this vibration is that they have very high expectations because they are constantly seeing flaws and trying to make things better, and so they expect the world to catch up with them. And this can cause perfectionism and cynical or pessimistic inclination, because what you're able to see that the way things can be, and they're not that way, is disappointing. And this vibration of Moon in Virgo can be a very overstimulated mental intellectual energies. It can make it hard for them to turn their mind off. This is my alignment in Moon that we're going to discuss now. So Moon has mixed karma in the Venus-ruled sign of Libra. We talked about the Moon doesn't have enemy of Venus, but the Venus doesn't care for the Moon in the same way. Moon, which is the royal queen, and the refined princess / advisor Venus has a mixed but an evolutionary relationship. So this Moon in Libra, I believe it's very evolving. Going back to the ancient mythology, Chandra sought counsel and advice from Venus concerning the affair, and Venus informed the Moon of the unrefined and unsophisticated actions which were taken. So when the Moon aligns to Libra, it supports a very devotional energy towards one romantic partner. It creates a very joyous, harmonious, and enjoyable emotional nature. Moon and Libra are creative, and they enjoy art, music, and entertainment in all of its forms. They also bring great amounts of pleasure and happiness to the lives of others. And as they evolve throughout their life, become more refined, become more sophisticated. The real challenge of this alignment is they can be pleasure-seeking, so they can really like pleasure-seeking. They like to pleasure their senses, and they are vulnerable to overindulgence and addiction as well. These natives have to evolve to have control and discipline over their desires and yearnings. This is all resonates with me. I've always loved art, music, entertainment. I have a very joyous, harmonious disposition. And as I become older, I have become more refined or sophisticated. I don't really drink any alcohol. I only eat organic food. But when I was younger, I drink beer and I eat meat and I eat McDonald's. So, which I haven't done for at least 10 years, but it's just showing that I've become more refined and sophisticated throughout my life. And I struggle with enjoying too much pleasure. Like, I love getting massage. I love getting acupuncture. I love getting foot reflexology. And I overindulgence with food sometimes. Sometimes I have difficulty with eating too much food, or when I feel stressed or anxious, eat food to make me feel comfortable. So all of the strengths and weaknesses here definitely resonate with me. Moon has mixed / inauspicious karma with the Saturn-ruled signs of Capricorn and Aquarius. This is because, again, Moon doesn't have problem with Saturn. Saturn doesn't do the best with the Moon. Moon, the royal queen, and the servant Saturn have a mixed karma because the queen is appreciative of the servant's work. You know, the queen is happy that the servant is doing the job, and the servant humbly serves the queen. But these two caste or classes of these two graha are very, very different. One, royal, other, servant. So this is part of the challenge of this vibration. Positively, this vibration, it can support a devotion to an old-fashioned way of doing things and mindset. Therefore, people with Saturn Moon, they maintain traditions, rituals, and histories of the past. For example, my brother, he is Saturn Moon Lugna in Aquarius, and he is Hasidic, Orthodox Jewish. So he practices the most conservative, ancient, Orthodox form of Judaism. So those people with Saturn Moon, they like the old-fashioned way of doing things. On the challenging side, it causes dogmatism, a hesitancy to grow / change, and an impatience / judgment of others. So the difficult side of that is that these people are dogmatic. They believe that they're right and other people are wrong, that their religion is right and other religions are wrong. And it can also show hesitancy to change or evolve. Because they like the old-fashioned way of doing things, they don't want to think about the new way of or new possibilities of how to do them. And an impatience or judgment of others. It can show that because they believe so strongly about what they believe, that they think that the way that things are done now is a disgrace. So they can be critical of others who are more contemporary people. When Moon aligns to Capricorn, on the positive side, it can show a native that is steadfast, determined, and persevering. Admirable qualities of care for the needy, a service and orientation, and being emotionally stable, secure, and grounded are seen here. So there's lots of positive energy when Moon is in Capricorn. Like I said, just because Saturn-Moon conjunction is difficult, the Moon does well in almost any sign because the Moon doesn't have enemy. There's some positive side. The dark side of Moon in Capricorn, it shows very much emotional struggles, adversities, delays, and obstacles. And Moon in Capricorn can cause emotional trauma in people's life. And therefore can develop trauma condition like post-traumatic stress disorder. And this can influence when you have post-traumatic stress disorder, it means you have to carry sadness with you throughout the life. And so certain people with Moon in Capricorn, they might carry some sadness with them because of trauma. And when Moon is in Aquarius, it supports an individual who is dedicated to the evolution of consciousness and awareness. These natives have powerful intuition and innovation, which supports an affinity towards technologically advanced, empathic, and outside-of-the-box interests in work. While these natives are usually considered strange, people with Moon in Aquarius are weird some people call them weird by the general standard, and I have Rahu in Aquarius, so I've been called this. But because of their unique emotional, mental nature, it actually supports a very powerful, innovative, and advanced creation. So they might be weird, but that's just because they're ahead of their time. They're able to see the future. And a challenge of this alignment comes from being out of touch with society and cultural norms. Individuals with Moon in Aquarius can be a little out of touch with the general society. They can be idealistic, unrealistic in their thinking, and they can have a quirky or strange emotional nature. They can have little quirks and tics and things like that. Moon has inauspicious, very challenging dignity in the Mars-ruled sign of Aries. Again, Mars and Moon are some of the most difficult relationships, just like Saturn-Moon. This mixed but sometimes unfavorable karma we talked about is because the Moon has a difficult relationship with Mars. Moon, which is the royal queen, and the general of the army, Mars, have a challenging relationship. Mars takes orders from the king. Okay? Mars only takes orders from the king. Mars only wants to take orders from the king. And so Mars doesn't appreciate the Moon's emotional nature and heart-centered nature. A general is not emotional or heart-centered. So it doesn't much care for that, and it doesn't care to take authority from anyone other than king. And also, the Moon, even though it doesn't have any one enemy, I don't think the Moon likes that the aggressive nature of Mars, the violent nature of Mars, and the confrontational energy of Mars. Those do not go well with Moon. And so when Moon aligns to Aries, on the positive side, it supports great devotion towards success, achievement, and fulfilling one's ambitions. It can create an energetic personality, someone who has a lot of energy, that is constantly doing, completing tasks, setting goals, reaching goals, and advancing to their next level of growth. The challenging side of this, again, emotional volatility, maybe emotionally aggressive, and someone who is vulnerable toward outbursts of aggressive or violent energy. Also, the Moon can become combust, The moon is combust when the moon or sun within 10 degrees of each other. I basically think that the moon outside of that 10 degrees of closeness is auspicious. And even when the moon is combust, there are still some auspicious aspects to that. But when the moon is combust, it can cause the native to be very quick towards emotional, mental aggravation. This we call someone who is has a temper problem. In other words, the pitta dosha within the mind of the native go out of balance easily and without too much influence. So a combust moon creates a mental vulnerability towards anger, towards irritation, and towards annoyance. It can suggest a native that is prone towards being emotionally overwhelmed and having emotional explosions. And moon combustion can make overall emotional composure more difficult. Even when the person is not exploding, they are quick to explode. And a moon combustion is partially remedied by a friendly planetary relationship between sun and moon. Because sun and moon get together along, a moon combustion isn't the worst combustion in the world. Even though a combust moon creates excessive pitta in the mind, it can create an extremely powerful and influential leader with great charisma and inspiration. So people with sun-moon conjunction can be very powerful and inspiring leaders, but just have this emotional vulnerability.